All right, welcome in everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network and welcome here today to Sarah. Hello, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thanks, Tammy. Thanks for
Wonderful.
having me.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. Now, we talked a little bit before, just before we went live, and we've been on a couple of things together. So I got to um, understand a little bit of what you do and who you are in the world. But I really want you to share it with the Women's Wellness Network because it's very valuable and I think it's a little bit we haven't had as many people like you yourself on the network. So I'm really excited here to have you here and share what it is that you do. So first of all, Sarah, why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell us where you are in the world?
Sure, that sounds perfect. So, my name is Sara Fishkin, and I am in Stockton, New Jersey, which is just a little countryside river town, sort of smack dab between Philadelphia and New York City. And so on the East Coast, that's where I am. And I am a mindset and prosperity coach, primarily for women. So I'm really happy to be here in the Women's Wellness Network. And I coach people in a very specific mindset technique that helps them to remove the self-limiting beliefs and paradigms that are running under the surface and are preventing them from really living the way that they truly desire to live. And that a big component of that is financial abundance and also equally as important, relationships, physical health, and creative self-expression. So that's what I do.
That's beautiful. Well, that's a whole lot of wellness in there. And I think a lot of people don't put finances and that sort of thing into the wellness category. But if we don't
Mhm.
have it, we're stressed about it, it makes us unwell. So I know everybody needs, you need to have financial structure so that you can survive in the world and, have shelter and food and all the things and maybe do some fun stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, learning those things and learning how to manage those or learning how to even start with that. So tell us a little bit about what it is that how you work with people.
I will. And I just want to speak to something that you just said because I have been delving into the the origin of the word wealthy.
Mm.
And that is a word that has two parts. WEAL, actually the root meaning of those letters, WEAL, means well-being, wellness. And THY is thy. So wealthy actually means to well thyself. So wellness is 100% woven into the word wealthy. And we have so many there's so much stigma and concepts around money that hold people back from recognizing it for what it really is. And then I have recently I'm actually launching, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want to mention this one thing. I have a class on Sunday called Healthy Mind, Wealthy Woman. And those two words, healthy, if you break that word apart, it's heal and thy. So when you heal thy mind, when you heal your mind, meaning you repair the false concepts that are running in your mind, then you well thy life. You well your life. So when you heal your mind, you can easily have a wealthy life. So I just had to say that because we're on the Wellness Network and wellness and wealth are absolutely 100% enmeshed. And the mind has everything to do with how we can experience that wellness, that wealth in our physical lives. So I forget your question. I just had to say that.
No, that's perfect because, well, we want to know about those things too. We want to know about your offerings and all that kind of stuff. And of course, it's the perfect time to talk about it. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're just
Okay.
talking about how you work with women, like what it is.
Okay.
What does your program look like? What can they
Sure.
expect?
Sure. Sure. Well, I teach free classes all the time because I want to get this message out because for many, many years, the reason I got into this work is because I was really struggling financially. I was, and in my relationship. So I was a divorced mother of three very young children and really living month to month and experiencing a lot of stress and also very unsatisfied as far as what I was doing with myself to earn money. I was I've always loved gardening and I was a gardener for work, but I found myself, checking the clock and weeding the cracks of people's patios. And that was not fulfilling. I knew I had a greater purpose. And on top of that, I was barely making ends meet. And I was really frustrated because I had visions, I had desires, I had things that I really wanted to do in my life, in my personal life, but also for the world that I was writing about for many years, but none of it was happening. And I started to feel quite bad about myself and was falling into somewhat of a depression and was really hitting a wall, just like wondering what it is that was going to help me to be able to experience in my physical life what I had been wanting so deeply in my heart. And everything shifted for me when I realized and learned that there were beliefs that I inherited that were actually the causes of my physical experience. One of those beliefs, there's just an example. Growing up, my mom always used to say she was very committed to being a stay-at-home mom. And I used to hear her say, I would rather go on welfare than send my kids to daycare. Now, the way the subconscious mind works is it has no ability to reject anything. That is part of its nature. So as a child, my subconscious mind took that in and assumed that in order to stay home with my children, I had to go on welfare. Because the subconscious mind doesn't it takes everything literally and it cannot reject anything. So fast forward a couple decades, and there I am as a single mom, staying at home on welfare, thinking that it's all my fault. There's something I'm missing. I'm not doing it right. Just trying to change my situation, trying to always shuffle the pieces on the chessboard, not recognizing, not understanding that there's a science to how the mind works. And actually, whatever we believe has to be reflected in our circumstances. No matter what we try to do, it always balances back to these fundamental concepts and beliefs that are running that we're not even aware of because they're subconscious. So when I changed that belief, my circumstances changed radically. And I became instantly clear that one of my biggest reasons for being here is to help as many people as possible to change whatever it is that is holding them back. So what I do is I take people through a process, and it's typically 6 months, and I lead them through a program that was created by someone who is no longer on this planet, but he's one of the greatest. I don't know if you've heard of him. His name was Bob Proctor. And yes, so he created a program with his partner, Sandy Gallagher, called Thinking into Results. And it was originally designed for companies and corporations, but they saw such phenomenal results when all of the team members and executives changed the underlying beliefs that were running. They saw their revenue skyrocket. They said, okay, we need to make this available to individuals and families and anyone who wants to use this in any way in their lives. So I became certified as a facilitator for this program. So that's the core is I take people through 12 lessons that teaches them how to set a very particular kind of goal. I always have my clients set a financial goal and a personal goal. And then I lead them through a process that takes 6 months so that they can change all of the beliefs that are operating underneath and be able to actualize that goal in their physical lives. So it's very practical. We end up with results, and we not only just change the beliefs, we change a lot of our habits because our habits are the expressions of our beliefs. So that's in a nutshell how I work with people. There's a lot more to
Great.
it, but I'm
Yeah, that
happy.
sounds really good. I like that it's excuse me, a longer duration, because it
Hmm.
does take time to integrate things, right?
Yes.
When you're trying, especially when you're trying to create new habits, um, real ones, positive ones, and negate the old ones. It does take time to integrate. And I think a lot of people sometimes are just looking for that quick fix, thinking they could, you just read a book and you're
Yeah.
good or whatever. But there is more to it than just that. Um, and I like the
Much.
example that you gave because I can see, you know, obviously most of us were told some sort of something about money when we were growing up, and you carry that with you because that's what you were told,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Whatever you're told and also what you observe. So as children, the children learn not they learn by their parents' words, but they also really learn by just how their parents are. So there's so much that gets absorbed just through be someone else's way of doing things. The children just adopt that as their way without any questioning of, is this how it actually needs to be?
Right, right. Yeah, I guess in a way, then your program. Excuse me, I have a
Of
thing,
course.
and I didn't bring my water with me, of course. Um, Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh darn, it'll come back to me.
Program. You said program.
Just the way, undoing ourselves, like reprogramming and rediscovering, I don't know, the maybe the right way, the positive way to do things, the positive way to think about it instead of
Yeah.
our old way that we're stuck in. And I'm sure there's so many people who realize or don't even realize that that's what's happening, and that it could be so simple to move out of that space. And you spend what 30, 40 years in that space of believing those things and running that way and running your programs and living in that lifestyle and being in those habits. And realizing, I guess, is probably the biggest moment when somebody says, "Oh, that's me, and I
Yeah.
can change it," right? Because I think after a long period of time, you just really start to believe that's who you are and that's how it is and that's just the way it's going to be. But it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's the beauty of it, right?
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that because who we are being is not who we are. Who we are is actually just pure, unadulterated awareness. It's like one of my favorite analogies, I think I used it on that call with Amos, is there's a, it's like electricity. It's unadulterated power. It just is. But in order to experience the electricity, it has to operate through something. And whatever that thing is, can be anything. It could be a computer, it could be a light, it could be a phone, it could be anything. And that's how we experience the electricity, but that is not what the electricity is. Same with us. We just are that pure life force power. And then we have acquired a concept of ourselves that we wear. It's like a filter that power's running through. And people don't realize that what they're experiencing in life is the result of the filter, the concept of ourselves. And so I have named my program Be Her Now, because the key to all of this, when you set a goal, and it's got to be a goal that's like it scares you, you really, really want it, and you have no idea how to do it. It's like way bigger than something that you've ever done. It's a very particular kind of goal. In order to bring that into form, you need to identify, who is this woman with this goal achieved?
Hmm.
And then you have to start adopting certain thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that go along with her. And as soon as that becomes natural, the goal is here. You've got it. But often what happens is people are trying to achieve things, but they're not changing who they feel themselves to be fundamentally. And it just, that is a no-go. It doesn't work. And that's why so many people hit this wall of frustration. They have to change the filter. So what I do is I help them actually change the filter and recognize, oh, this isn't who I am. This is just something that I acquired. It's my conditioning. And that's what's causing my results. But I have free will to change this filter and make it anything I want. And it's actually really, really fun. But it takes some guidance because most people are stuck in this habit of it's a feedback loop. They're reacting to their circumstances, and that reaction is causing certain thoughts, which generates certain feelings, which generates certain behaviors, which generates the same results over and over again. It's a loop. So instead of that's results-based thinking. So instead, we shift into thinking into results, which is we choose a new thought that seems ridiculous at first because it's so different than the circumstances. But we choose a new thought and we work with it in a particular way so that it produces new feelings and that produces new actions and that produces new results. So it's a very different way of working, but it's incredibly liberating.
I love it. It sounds fun. Like it sounds
It is
interesting.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
you get to
fun.
do a whole
Fun.
bunch of things, right? You
You
get
do.
to discover yourself. You get to use your imagination. You get to,
Yes.
right, like creating those feelings. That is the most powerful tool that there is. And I think a lot of people don't even know how to do that. They don't, they've never sat down to feel what it feels like to have a certain thing when you want to feel it, right? Like being in charge of that.
That is absolutely 100% correct.
Ugh, my
You are
goodness.
you're spot on. Yeah.
Well, this is why we need to start changing ourselves so we can change our own outer circumstances so that we can change the world, right? So we've got to start with ourselves.
Exactly. Yes, we're on the same page because the the collective, the world experience is made up of all of us as individuals. So think of what would happen if each person did the inner work of transforming their concept of themselves and their beliefs so that they could actually produce their ideals in their life. We would have an ideal world
Right?
because each person's truest ideals are good. People get off track because they're clouded by misconceptions and beliefs, but there is a fundamental drive for wellness and goodness in each person naturally because we are life itself, and life itself is pure vitality and abundance and beauty and love. So unadulterated ideals are ideal. And so we would have an ideal world if each person would go within and do this work and stop trying to fix everything on the outside without changing all of that first. So it's quite
Absolutely.
powerful.
Very
Yes.
powerful. Oh my goodness, very powerful. Even just when you're speaking of it, it makes me feel powerful because I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm doing that work and I'm making a difference. And that's important. So,
It is.
the more people that can do that, it helps with your relationships, as you say, because then you're in a better space, a better headspace. You're doing new things, you're showing up differently. And then, of course, if you have a spouse or children, then they start to show up differently because you're different. And there's, just different ways of being.
Gosh, you are. Yeah, I could talk to you forever. That's exactly how it works. And I have done that. I've had that experience with my mother and my eldest son, where in changing my mindset and doing this work inside of myself, they have had to show up differently because that there are certain fundamental laws operating. And one of them, this whole law of attraction thing that people talk about, the primary law there is the law of vibration. So it basically states that only what is in harmony vibrationally can be a match to I didn't say that right. Things can only be a match vibrationally if they are in harmony. So when I change my vibrational state based on my thoughts and feelings, other people, certain things can no longer show up in my life because they're not a vibrational match to me anymore. And so
Right.
I have literally had several core relationships in my life shift. I stopped trying to change them. I took my hands off of them. That was not working. I tried, that was not working, really not working. I just changed certain fundamental beliefs within myself, and now they have shown up differently in an incredibly different way. And I'm like, whoa, this stuff works.
Amazing, right? That's so cool. It's so cool. Okay, so do you work both online and in person? Are you just online, just in person? How
Mostly
can our ladies work?
online. Mostly online. I'm definitely going to be, I have a couple retreats in the works. Nothing to announce yet because they're still in the formative phase, but I love being in person with people. I love it. And I love being in beautiful places with people and rejuvenating spaces. So stay tuned for that. So right now, primarily, I work with my clients online because I have clients in Europe, I have clients on the West Coast. So it's a Zoom thing at the moment. And I have I have an ongoing group that people can join anytime. But I am also specifically gathering a group of women together this fall who want to begin this relatively around the same time together. And that is, if you go to my website and you click on the section of getting started or how to work with me, it will take you to the the brief description of Be Her. It's called Be Her Now. And the way to take steps with that is really to just book a call with me, because what I want to do is talk with people and hear, where are you in your life? What are you really wanting? And what has been in your way? And so that way, together, we can assess, is this something that would support you to get where you want to go? So it's a discovery call. We just discover together. There's no strings attached. It's an exploration. And another way to get acquainted with my work is to come on Sunday, this coming Sunday on Zoom. The link is in my website. It's www.innervisioncoaching.org, O-R-G,
Okay.
www.innervisioncoaching.org. And on my website, you can click on the button, register for classes. And this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to be delving into this whole concept of healthy mind, wealthy life. It's called Healthy Mind, Wealthy Woman. So really getting an understanding of how the mind works in the formation of our results, particularly our financial abundance.
Right. Awesome. Okay. There you go, women of the Women's Wellness Network. We will put all of Sarah's contact information into the comments section, and you can go
Okay.
check her out. Know that she's got a class coming up this Sunday, and it's free. So you can get a little taste of what she has to offer, how she works, and really decide if it's for you, because she's got this great workshop that's going to be coming up. She said she's not too sure of the date yet, but that's okay. Um, when we get that information, we'll make sure that Sarah comes back and puts it into the comment section so that everybody can know about it. So, Sarah, is there anything else you would like to tell us before we sign off today?
I think the one thing I want to say is that a lot of people have this idea that they need to become something, and it feels really far away from them. But the truth is that if you have the desire for it, that is the indication that it's already inside of you, and actually what you need is to just express it. So it's already, you already are that. So if you want to be a wealthy woman, for example, and you're not currently feeling that and you're like, whoa, how do I become her? Well, the fact that you want that is the indication that she's inside of you and she's looking to come out. So all we have to do is change the filter so that wealthiness, that well woman can express herself. So you already are that. And I just wanted to say that because it can feel pretty daunting sometimes, like where you are in your physical life and where you want to be. But just to remember that you already are that is
That's
very
great.
inspiring and helpful. and hopeful for people.
Right. That's perfect advice. Beautiful. Yeah, because sometimes it does seem daunting sometimes, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey and you're just getting started and you're not, there's a lot of things out there and there's a lot of different ways that people can work with others. But yeah, just having especially something like the free class where they can see and there's no risk. Just the only thing you can get from it is a reward for showing up, learning something and maybe coming away with some information and maybe an inspiration to join you further. So I wish you good
Yeah.
luck this weekend. I think that's amazing. And yeah, I'd keep in touch and find out what you're up to and when these other things are going to be happening so we can post it in the group for ladies to know.
Sure. Yeah, I will post the flyer. The Be Her Now mentorship group, we're launching the weekend of the equinox. So
Okay.
soon, September 22nd. It's
Okay.
coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yes, we
Yeah.
will post that also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you sent an advertisement for that. So we'll post that also so that we can have a little more information for that. So, Women of the
Sounds
Women's
awesome.
Wellness Network. Yes, thank you. Thank you. We will make sure we get all of the information from Sarah for you. And until next time, be well. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Tammy. Thank you.